closet, that's one thing. That's the second step. The first step is like really kind of like acknowledging it and like loving yourself. And that was the hardest part for me. And I'm pretty good now. I'm happy and bi.
Now very comfortable with my sexuality, and I know it's a spectrum, but I think I'm for the most part straight. I struggled with depression for a long time, and I think one of the side effects of that for me was I fell into an eating disorder, and I got really skinny, and because I was struggling with an eating disorder, it made me, for some reason, question my sexuality. And I understand how messed up that is now. I started to ask myself, why did you associate that one with the other? And I think it was because it's just not largely talked about with straight men that we can still struggle with mental health and eating disorders.
I have a very core memory, somebody might say, of me walking in to my house after the first day of first grade, and I'm just like, hey mom, I think I have a crush on my friend. And my mom kind of laughed, and she's like, oh, boys don't have crushes on boys. And I was like, cool, got it, awesome. Just put that in the back of my mind. And I'm still working with like the idea that if I have a crush on a man, that's not inherently disgusting, because what's more disgusting than a man wanting you? Or like you said, like connecting to the gay community, unless you fit like, it seems the tiniest of boxes, is really hard. And even now, like I went out last night and I had somebody that I kind of like caught my eye, but I had no idea how to approach that. It's like everybody else got like a manual and like 17 easy steps to not have social anxiety when in the club. And I'm just like, I guess I was sick that day. I didn't get that class. I didn't sign up for it on LinkedIn. Just, sorry, I'm using humor to cover it up.
I went up to a guy and said, you're so handsome. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like I'm an old woman. They're like, you're so handsome.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, obviously don't say that, but it's like, okay, but then what do you say? Yeah. Because like, do I not think that he's handsome? I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever been confused by consent before?
There have been instances where, in terms of friends, relationships, whatever, I can go too far because I misinterpreted consent, and just because people seem comfortable with something, you kind of go along with it.
Yeah, I think the reason I said yes was just thinking very specifically about situations where both of us have been really drunk or something like that, where it's like, it's not one person's sober and the other person's drunk and the drunk person's saying yes, but if you're both drunk and both consenting and into it in the moment, and then the next day, like I've had like neither of us really consented. Is anybody in the wrong here? And so that's kind of what I thought of when I heard I've been confused about consent. It's not as much in the moment, but after the fact in that scenario.
Jack, that situation is pretty scary because you interpret it one way, and if someone was hurt and you didn't mean to do that, and you didn't take the precautions for that, you're still at fault, and that sucks. And I'm not saying that's your situation.
Yeah.
That's like that's the kind of world we live in, where we can really get in trouble sometimes, even when we don't mean to hurt others, and it sucks.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing about consent is it's not always just like this guy being like, oh, come on, like, there's such a finer line. There's so many gray areas that it's really important to have those conversations because, yeah, there can be so many different scenarios that are still non-consensual, so.
Women have more power than me.
Yeah, I definitely don't think women have more power. And I think some people might think that just because you're seeing growing relative power that, some men might not be used to. Now that women are kind of getting closer to being equal to some people that might feel like they're getting more power and they might be more powerful. And so I can understand why someone might, perceive that as relative, but absolutely I don't agree that like women have more power. I think we're getting closer to equality at this point where it's a work in progress.
I don't know. It's like a yes and no question. I was harassed by a superior who was a woman at a previous job, like repeatedly harassed. I reported it to my boss, who was a white male, and he just laughed it off and said, toughen up, Buttercup. When women are harassed, I think if I was a woman and I reported harassment, especially right now with Me Too and everything, CEO would see a huge red flag, a huge possible controversy, and like I know there's definitely, you know, ways when that isn't true, but for me it was just like we don't care. You're a man, toughen up. I don't give a shit. Like, she's a woman. She can't harass you. And it was really hard. I'm sorry. And I was really scared. And like, if I didn't have some, you know, good women in my life and some good people, I wouldn't have taken action. I would have just toughened up, and I would have let it kill me inside.
Sorry that happened.
I'm so sorry. Sorry.
I've had fantasies.
Oh, okay. So I said yes because like I can't think of a specific time, but like I believe I have at one point. It's more like role playing under very strict guidelines and with the understanding that my partner will stop if I ever get too uncomfortable. In terms of like fantasizing about actually doing the very illegal and immoral act, no. But I think, you know, like role playing or even like the fiction you read or even like to a certain extent, as long as it's ethically made, porn, like it's exploring that healthily, I think is valid. And it's something that I think I have done in the past.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I explore it in porn, but like personally, no. Like it freaks me out too much. You know, I do have like this kind of feel of wanting to be dominated by a man, you know, or a woman. That's more in porn than like in real life. I feel like I'd be freaked out in real life if that happened, but.
So in this situation where you're doing this, like with your partner that you stated, are you the person that is receiving this idea of
You're saying, am I playing the role of the
victim?
assailant or the victim?
Yeah, are
Okay.
you
The role I am playing would be that of the assailant
of the
in
assailant?
that.
Okay.
And my partner would be the victim. Due to like social anxiety and like just a lot of things that keep me like a more like docile and submissive person, I like exploring a more dominant side via power dynamics in a safe environment, obviously.
When you're assaulted, like sexually assaulted, you don't have a choice in the matter, but when you are role playing it, you can say, you know, like a safe word, and that you have the control. But when it's that control's robbed from you, it, you know, it messes with you. I think that's the distinction with the role play.
I feel like we kind of have a misunderstanding here. I at least think that it's really insensitive, at least, to be doing these role plays because you will never be able to feel what these people feel, and like it kind of it's off shifting to know that that's something desired. You know.
I understand that, and like I said, it is something like obvious. I've never experienced it, and so my fantasy kind of might come from like a position of privilege, and I think that's why I'd like to explore it in a healthy way to figure out like why exactly I feel that way. And I understand like from the outset, and even like as I explain it, it has the potential to sound like incredibly like jarring and shitty.
The way you're explaining it though, like that's why I'm asking you questions because I can instantly assume that you're a person, but now that I see the way you spoke to me and you know, you obviously have some feelings about it that you've thought to yourself over time. So like, I just want to
I appreciate that.
But and I think that the way we handled it is kind of a good way to communicate with others and understand issues.
I appreciate the way you ask the questions and stuff like that.
Thank you.
I have been abused.
Yeah, I mean, I've been.
I've been going through it. You go through it.
No, I think I've just been abused two ways, and abused is such a like can mean so many things. So I've been abused emotionally in a relationship, but not physically or sexually, but definitely emotionally. And then I've been abused as like an employee to an employer. Again, not sexually or physically, but just abused their power over me.
As I talked about, I got harassed by an older female employee, and working through it, it's always a process. I don't know.
My family, we've endured emotional, physical abuse from my father, and I'm sure a lot of people can, you know, attest and say the same things. And he lives in a whole other country now, so I don't really talk to him. And I need that guidance. You know, when I'm going from 14 to 18 years old, that's like a